If you've listened to this podcast before, or you're part of the Her Business Network, or you have heard me speak just about anywhere, you know that I'm a big believer that business cannot be done alone. Not if you want a sustainable, profitable business. We need people around us. But growing a business is a fundamentally difficult thing to do, and it can also be an intrinsically isolating one. And unless we purposefully counteract that isolation, we can find ourselves without support, without encouragement, without community. That's obviously a reason why the Her Business Network exists. But today we aren't talking about the power of an external community or support system. We're talking about your internal business support system, your team. And I say support system because those on your team are so much more than people that you throw tasks at. They're so much more than doers that move you towards your goal. They really are a support system that you rely on. People who rely on you. So in order to do this topic justice, I've brought in a very special podcast guest who certainly knows her way around creating a thriving team dynamic. I can't wait for you to hear this conversation, so let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to the Her Business Podcast. My name's Susie Daphnis. I'm your host, and I'm also the CEO of Her Business. Today, we're talking about your team, the people that you trust to get things done so that you can focus on the CEO level tasks in your business. Now, in order to talk about this topic, I brought on the lovely Kristy Smith of Virtual Elves. Now, Kristy is an incredible long-time member of the Her Business community, and she's crafted a thriving business in strategic outsourcing. She first started her agency in 2009, and since then, she's been empowering global businesses to thrive and grow by providing them with the one thing that you can't do business without, and that's people. She is all about helping business owners reclaim their time, boost their profits, and thrive in their businesses without staying stuck in the tedious tasks that tend to suck up our time. Now, she connects her clients with a highly trained pool of virtual assistants who are based in the Philippines. And if there's one thing that Kristy thrives in, it's in creating a culture where people, no matter what job they perform, are valued, respected, and seen for their potential. Any business owner listening, that's you, whether you have one employee or 100, will benefit from what Kristy is sharing with us today. So let's welcome Kristy Smith to the show. Hey, Kristy, welcome.
Thanks, Susie. Great to be here.
I'm so excited to see you. I actually saw you in person. We were just saying I saw you in person maybe a month ago. We were both at the theatre in Sydney seeing a presentation by the wonderful Gabby Bernstein, who's actually been a guest here on the show. And we got to have a little cocktail and catch up beforehand, which was lovely.
It was lovely. So nice to meet in person when you're constantly online.
Absolutely. Always good for I'm always up for a little bit of in real life kind of connection. Yeah. So, but today we are here doing a podcast. So we're going to be talking about delegating, outsourcing, managing teams. And we're talking specifically to women business owners who want more time freedom, and I want them to step more and more into the CEO role in their business and to let go of things that they needn't be doing. And so we're tapping your incredible brilliance in this area. And where I want to start is by something that you have termed the 30% burden, a hidden workload that most business owners carry, sometimes without realizing it. Can you tell us what is this? Why are we carrying it? What is it costing us? All those things.
You bet I can. And this comes from my own learned experience as well as dealing with a whole lot of business people that seemingly are unaware of these invisible things that keep them tied to, I think, the wrong things in their business and stops them from focusing on the things that are going to really help them grow, scale, and do the things that they really want to do, the reasons why they started their business in the first place. And we can get stuck in that 30%. And the 30% burden is those invisible things like the bookkeeping that you just do because you just do, the sending out of the invoices, the little bits of admin that take you 2 minutes to do because it's just easier for you to do it than to show someone else, the working on social media, posting things and putting yourself out there on social media when someone else can be doing these things for you. And it becomes a burden for us because it takes our focus away, like I said, from the things that I think allow us to step up into that CEO role and allow us to think differently and look into the business rather than be in the business. So it's that change of perspective. And the things that it costs us are incredible, right? Our time is the number one thing. We all have the same amount of time.
Minutes.
Right?
It's never 2 minutes.
No. And even if it is 2 minutes, it's 2 minutes 4 times a day.
Many times over.
Over 5 times. Yeah, that's exactly right. So, yes, and I answer this question every single day. Yes, it's going to take you 15 minutes to create the process of a video to show someone how to do it. And it might not be done correctly the first time, but I guarantee you, if you stick with it and you persist with it over 1 or 2 times showing someone, you then can take that off your plate. So it doesn't rest on your shoulders anymore, right?
That is so interesting. And I love that idea that it is a burden. In the beginning, it's, okay, I can do this, I can do all of that. And we can even hide from the important work as a business owner by checking off the little things, by sending the invoices, by doing the social media post in Canva, etc. But there's a saying in a book that I'm sure you're familiar with by Dan Martell, where he says 80% done by someone else is 100% freaking awesome. Yes. And so you just said they may not do it perfect. They may not even do it 100%, but it's relieving that burden of you, costing you your time, but also I think your creativity, your sovereignty, your altitude as the leader in the business by doing all those what I call like $10 jobs instead of doing the $100 an hour jobs.
That's it.
So yeah, very good. There's I've heard you speak about a process that you use with your clients that's really beneficial, especially for those who, like, you make a decision, okay, I've got all these tasks, I'm willing to give them up, but I'm not exactly sure how to discern what to do with different tasks. You call it the SAD method, which is kind of a sad name, but it kind of wraps it up. Can you talk us through that process?
It does wrap it up because we are sad and we've got sad smiley faces, upside down smiley faces when we're at the beginning of that process, right, of overwhelm, of, just completely not knowing where to go next. And I think when you're in that stage, you are sad because you're trying to work it out. So if we go through that process and using the acronym of SAD, which is SADD, it's got 2 Ds, this one, very important, is when you look at a task and when you look at something that really gets you down and something that's sucking your energy and your time, you need to run it through this process of, do I need to systematize it? Is there a way to do this more efficiently, in a different way, using a different program, thinking of it differently? So have a look at it in that respect first. Then you need to look at it and say, with the world of automations, AI, everything else, can I do it smarter? Is there a way that I can do this that doesn't take a real person to do it, that we can look at it smarter to cut down the time that it takes or to cut down the impact that it has on our time in the business?
By automating it, yes?
By automating it, by using AI, by however we do that, right? And we all, I'm sure everybody that is listening somehow uses automation, even in a very small way, to manage a process in their business, right? It's how much you understand. And if you don't understand that, that's the next bit. Delegate it to someone that does, right? So if there's part of that process that you don't understand and you know that you can be doing it better, seek out the people that do know how to do it in the first instance. And that may not be a virtual assistant. It may not be, somebody who does the task, but it may be someone who knows a lot about it, can actually help you work out how to do it better. So don't try to hold that burden yourself in trying to work it out every time. There are lots of other smarter people around. But the D for delegate is also, once you've done those pieces, there has to be a human element to what you do.
Right.
So delegating that and finding the right type of person to delegate that to, whether it's a local employee, whether it's a freelancer, an offshore dedicated contractor, it doesn't matter. You've got to work out what's right for you. Then the other D, the last one, is you just need to ditch it, because how often do we do things because everyone else is doing it, but it actually doesn't
Or because we've always done it.
Or because we've always done it. Yeah. So that process, if you take every task through that process, you're going to get to the end of that and you've essentially moved that task forward, right? It's the burden isn't with you anymore. It's not your responsibility. You've moved that forward and you've given that task a different life.
And so just to recap for everybody, the acronym is SAD with 2 Ds. It's systemize, automate, delegate, or ditch it. So that's that process. I love that, because, everything that comes our way, we can just make one of those 4 decisions, and instead of the burden being on us, it's gone. It's delegated, or it's like, this isn't even worth thinking about, or it's automated, or we've applied AI to it, and that's the A, or, creating a system, taking 15 minutes, as you said, to create a system that's going to have the longevity of then allowing someone else to take that task off you. Now, I love nothing more than someone who stays with me a long time, really understands the business, has all my IP is in their head. And we did a little digging, and you have an assistant who's been working with you since the very beginning of Virtual Elves, which is fantastic. What have you done to create culture that breeds that kind of loyalty? And especially because a lot of the people you're working with, they are outsourcing. People think, okay, this person even is on my team, but they're kind of an outsourced person. How have you built loyalty, and how can business owners outsource tasks while still maintaining a fabulous work culture?
Yeah, look, I'm really, really proud of the fact that Cherry, my very first VA that I hired, is with us 14 years later. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah, but it's because when I first started the business, I started with who I wanted in mind. It wasn't just, I just need someone to do a task. And I think this is really a really important discernment to make around who do you want here, because if you just want someone to do a task, then that's what you're going to get, right? You're going to get someone to do a task. They're not invested in the work that you're doing for them, that they're doing for you, and so on. So you've actually got to create that environment where they feel special, they feel valued, they feel like they're actually sitting next to you as part of your team. And ways that there's so many ways you can do that. I mean, my first thing was I went over and visited her. So I invested in going over, giving her my time, and asking her how she wanted to play a role in the business. And when you do that and you empower, my big word for how we've built from Cherry to now 78 and counting VAs, we're adding 3 VAs a week at the moment. It's crazy.
Fantastic.
It's lovely. But, we've got this remote workforce that we've built connection within everything that we do. Even though they're all remote, they're part of a team. So they all have a channel where they get to chat and they get to meet every single month, and they play games and they sing songs and they do all the things that culturally they love to do together if they were in person. So I think it's getting to know the culture and intrinsically who this person is. Don't just hand them a task and have a transactional work relationship with them.
Yes.
Ask them what they did on the weekend. Ask them who they are. How's your family? What's your living situation? Who do you live with? Like, don't be afraid to ask them the personal questions. They love sharing who they are, So we've done that by building that.
And like you said, from the very beginning, but you understand culture, you understand that culture of the people that you're working with. I so often, and it kind of breaks my heart a little bit, I do see women, they'll hire a VA, it'll be someone overseas, and it's like this not human that they just give tasks to. And so they don't build in that relationship, and they don't have, the only communication they have is, here's another task. Have you finished that task? Are you done with that task? Here's another task. And I'm kind of amplifying the problem a little bit, but I've seen it enough times to know that that's what happens. True. Rather than saying, this person could be sitting right next to me, it's just that they're sitting, technology allows us for them to be sitting in another country or in the other side of this country or wherever it is. And I think it is definitely one of the mistakes that I see people make, is not having people who they're outsourcing to be part of the team and not giving them the time and the respect that you would any other person working with you. And that shows up in the way that that person is.
Yeah, exactly, Susie. And for me, the biggest thing is, and we've read enough books about this, in what we do about how to manage people and get the best, how to look after your clients. The best way you can look after your clients and give your clients what you've promised them is by looking after your team. Like we don't have clients without our team. So if my team believe, and I've always done this, I share them our biggest, hairy, audacious goal. I share that with them. Every single year we have an end of year, party, Christmas party, online Christmas party, where we all get together and we dress up and we go silly. And at that party I share with them what my next 12-month goal is, and I want them to know what part they play in it, how important they are to that. And then every single day they're reminded by my team, and they're in the Philippines, how important that is. It's not just about, hey guys, we as a VA, we just need you to maximize your hours with your client. No, it's, hey guys, we're going to teach you some skills so that when you're talking to your client, you're going to be able to support them in the very best way that you can. Because if you can support them and add value, then that breeds loyalty, and that loyalty means you've got a job forever. So it's your responsibility, but we're going to give you some tools to help you do that. Yeah.
I love that. And so I sort of surfaced one mistake that I see that business owners make when they start outsourcing, but I'd love to hear what are some of the major mistakes that you see that are being made when people outsource?
Well, we just talked about one of them, right? They're going into it with a transactional relationship in mind. Another one is that you're going into it totally unprepared and overwhelmed. So being totally overwhelmed and underprepared is not a way for a VA relationship to work. So you need to think about this before you need it. So think about it before you need it. Start building systems, easy systems and processes in your business from day one. So really think about making those simple. Gone are the days of us needing massive, big, thick manuals on how to do things. You can record a Loom video in 5 minutes and you're showing someone exactly how you want to do something. So be smart about preparing yourself and get help before you need it. Because if you can get help before you need it, you're not going to reach overwhelm. You're not going to be in that state of overwhelm, and start small. You don't have to start big, right? Start small with 5 hours a week. Get someone to come in and just help you with one element of what you're doing so you get used to working with somebody else. Because as a solo business owner, we get trapped in trying to figure it all out ourselves and trying to do all the work ourselves until we think we have enough money to bring someone on, right? But it's a catch-22 because you'll never have enough money to bring someone on until you get the help.
Yeah. And I think that to your point, it's like I'm launching a new product or service, a new online course or whatever it is, and I haven't prepared. What is the plan? What is the runway? How do things need to be rolled out? And I've got this one poor assistant who suddenly gets lobbed with, these are our goals and this is what we need to do. And but there isn't the training, the knowledge, the time for that. So if you know you're going to be doing something big in 6 months' time, the time to hire isn't necessarily 3 months out. It could be 6 months out so that person can grow into it with you.
That's right. And just doing 3 smart things. So I always say if someone's contacting me and they're kind of in that don't know if I need a VA sort of stage, the 3 things that you can do straight away is set up a project management system. So very simple, Asana, Trello, a free project management system. Don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. Set that up, set up the projects. So set up the things that in the future, you know that you're going to want somebody to help you with, right? You set up those projects, and then as you are doing the task yourself, because inevitably you are the one doing it now, you record that process of how you do that task. You add that into your project management system, and it sits there ready to go until you're ready to bring on a VA, and then you delegate that with a due date, and then you've got a system. So simple as that. A little bit of a process start, and then you'll get into working with somebody in a way that doesn't feel like a whole lot of overwhelm, having to get someone a whole number of hours and teach them what to do.
Very good. Thank you. I love that strategy. Now, you've been in my world for a few years now. You just mentioned how much you're growing. You're adding 3 new VAs. Did you say a week?
Yeah.
A month. Yeah. Okay, that's a lot. But you have avoided scaling too fast when others around you were scaling fast. What guided that decision, and how has that shaped your growth to actually going slow to go fast?
Yeah, I'd like to say that it was planned. Well, I guess it was planned, but things happen. But there's a few key reasons why in the beginning. I mean, the first 10 years I was raising a family. I had 2 small children. My kids are now 21 and 17, and so I have a lot more freedom with my time, and I'm not having to sort of keep an eye on them so much. So in the early days, it was very much around I've created this business to be with them, so that's what I'm going to do. I could have scaled it very quickly, I know that, but that was what I wanted. So that was the first reason. I guess the second reason is that I'm really, really conscious of keeping our quality and systems so that they don't break. I don't want our quality and our systems to break because we've suddenly opened the floodgates and we've got, 100 people coming in, we can't service that. That's been very important to me. So is it gradual? Yes. But it's also, I didn't know what I didn't know, and as business owners, yes, I've got a team of virtual assistants that I can get to help things, but until you start going through and learning and understanding how you can do things differently and what you should be doing from a different perspective in marketing and how you can set up a team differently, then you don't go there. But I'm a little hare. I'm a little tortoise in the hare and the tortoise. Right,
in the hare and the tortoise.
I enjoy it.
Slow and steady wins the race, right?
Yeah. You see the people that are starting out really, really strong, and they sometimes don't make it. And I'm here for 15 years, and we've had the strongest year we've ever had in the entire 15 years of the business this year and last financial year. Yeah, and I feel like because we've built the foundations and we've got the strength of the quality management system that we have, we can now scale a little bit stronger and faster.
And of course, you are working with companies who want to build motivated outsourced teams, but you're also at the same time, you are your customer and you are building a team. And so what would you say are some of the core elements of building a high-performing, motivated, outsourced team? And now we mentioned some of the mistakes people are making, but I want to come at it from a different.
Yeah.
Being prepared, yes. What else? What are some of those elements?
Yeah. I think some of the elements are having really good line management in place. So, for me, I've got 4 managers that basically sit across the business because I got to a point where I just couldn't manage it all myself, and I couldn't be the person that everyone came to. So having really strong line managers that take ownership of their area and, so that then it's just them reporting to you on a weekly basis, that's probably one of the things from a structural perspective has really supported us. And it then gives one person the focus to build the culture of the business. right? And one person, the focus to build, the HR systems in the business and things like that. So splitting those roles out, I think has really developed a strong culture and community within our business. Now, not everyone can do that. I understand we're a bit beyond, but I do think your network is super important. So your network, how you educate yourself, developing your own leadership skills, I think is super important. I mean, I didn't place a huge amount of value on that, to be honest, until maybe the last 5 years. And seeing how that has shaped and changed the way that I'm running the business now has really shown me that. So being a part of a network, doing that, and then just being, just having new goals, and resetting your goals and just trying that 1% improvement every time you do something. And, that quality management process is great for that. Like just having a look at where something breaks and then improving it every single time. It just gives you that sense of I've got something stronger, and reaching out to people.
I wanted to ask you about the 4 roles. And like you said, a lot of businesses are in the position to have that. But I also think that we shouldn't have everybody reporting directly to us once we get past a certain point. It may or may not be relevant to those listening, but what were the 4 areas that you decided to bring managers in? Again, it might be specific to your industry, but it might be just useful for people to understand what elements you thought. Okay,
I don't think it is specific to my industry. I think it's a fairly general structure. So I've got somebody who looks after human resources, which encompasses training and development and our people. So with 78 people, we have to have strong processes in place. We have a recruitment manager, so someone who's responsible for attracting and, sourcing really great candidates that then manages the client matching, right? So that we have that. Then we've got operations and client services. That's in one role. That's in one role, but we're flattening that a little bit now so that it's more client services because client success, that's a big one. And that's going to be supporting us developing different communities within our client base. What did I say? 1, 2, 3. And then sales and marketing. So, and we've lumped sales and marketing together because, and as it should be, I think always marketing should be answering to sales because the goal is to get sales. Your marketing, the goal is to get sales, and someone who's across what those metrics look like and how marketing fits into that. And we've also got a CFO. Yeah.
And you've got a CFO. Perfect.
Yeah. Because I don't understand numbers.
So those people, were any of them already on your team and then they got elevated to those roles, or did you bring in new people?
All of them were on my team.
All of them were already in your team and they just got elevated into those more because you recognised
and
the talent.
All of them. So 3 of them have been with me. So 1 for 14 years, 2 for over 10 years, and the other one for 3 years. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. Now, you mentioned AI earlier. I want to talk about AI because I think it may have changed the way that people think about using an outsourced team when they can plug something into ChatGPT. Now, I personally believe that if you have a virtual assistant, for example, the best thing you can do is get them really literate on how to use AI to be more productive in your business rather than thinking, I could save money and not hire someone and put something in ChatGPT and do it myself. I'd love to hear your thoughts on AI as it relates to our teams.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one because it's evolving, right? It's evolving every day. There's new platforms coming out that we need to consider. There's new ways of doing business. There's just so much. So, it's a little bit out there. But I agree with you in the sense that I don't think AI is completely going to replace, and nor should it completely replace people. I think it should empower and enhance what people do for you. So, particularly in my business, we are currently looking at a framework that empowers our workforce with AI tools and skills to help businesses because I think adoption of AI and how to use it and whatever is quite overwhelming for
Yes.
most businesses. There are plenty of business owners out there, obviously, who are just killing it and using it in every way possible. But I'm a very traditional business owner. I like the personal touch and I like having that. We've just got to now work out how do we bring AI into that so that supports the businesses we work with.
Yeah, great. And I totally agree. I think that it's there as an enhancement, as a tool, but it doesn't mean that you don't need people. Like, you cannot grow a sustainable, profitable business if you keep relying on your hours and yourself to do that. I think I've sort of beat that into our listeners' minds, but it's a good reminder. And I want to circle back to you were talking about leadership and how that's especially become part of your focus over the last 5 years, and you really stepping into that leadership skill and I think a leadership role. And I think that whether we have one team member or 100, thinking like a leader, communicating like a leader, I think is so important. That is our role. That is us stepping into the CEO role. And I'd love to ask, in your opinion, what would you recommend we as business owners focus on if we want to step more into the leadership role in our team?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And, I definitely think getting rid of that 30% burden is the first place to start, because you need space, right, to step into your leadership role. As you know, Susie, I mean, I'm similar. You do the same. There's plenty of us that do the same. We go away on holidays to give ourselves the space to really think about what comes next. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing is you need to understand who you are and how you work. And you've got to identify, once you know who you are, how you want to show up in the world, then you can quite easily identify where the gaps are for you in the way that you lead and the way that, the things that you need to achieve in your business. You can see quite clearly where you need to get that support. So having a mentor, having a business coach, having a network, having people that you can actually, the growth groups, all of those things, and her business is a brilliant network for that, and of resources and, access to things that can elevate you into that leadership role. But you've got to first know, who are you, what makes you tick, and where do you want to be? Because it's very easy for us to, I could very easily just sit in the space that I was at. But when I identified that I wanted more, you then identify what the gap is to you getting more. So
and you said such an important thing. It takes space, and a lot of us don't. I found this little. I'll show you. You probably can't see it on the camera, but I found this little medallion thing.
Oh, cool.
I got given at a. But can you see the word? It says space on it, and I'd forgotten
space.
it. Yeah, it says space. It says space on it, and we don't often, as business owners, we're so buried in the tasks, the burden tasks, that we have time to think, time to look into the businesses, time to step back. And that's exactly why we want to be creating that space and time by recruiting people who you can pay less per hour than your time is worth an hour, to allow you that space, to buy back that space so that you can think strategically about what your next step is. So thank you for that. You've been part of our community for a little while. Thank you for the beautiful things that you said about the network. We have a tagline, which is do what you love every day. And that kind of speaks to what you just said about really knowing yourself. So tell us what an ideal day looks like for you when you are doing what you love.
Yeah, and, a disclaimer here, I don't always do it because we get caught up, and I think that's cute, right? Like, the weather is absolutely rubbish outside and freezing cold, so I'm not going to take the dog for a walk in, 120 gale force winds, whatever, and I'm going to sleep for a little bit longer in my day. But what is important for me is that I get to choose. I get to choose what I do every day. But for me, the perfect day is I actually don't start working until 10 o'clock every morning. So, and I'm not an early riser. I'm not a 4 a.m. I don't get up at 4 a.m. I get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I've got a little mini trampoline, and I just do my lymphatic drainage jumping on my little trampoline. If there's sunshine outside, I'll go and I'll sit in the sun to get my UV rays in the morning, and then I'll sit and have a cup of tea and do all those slow start things. I'm a real slow starter. I like intentionally starting my day with the things, because when I do start my day, it's hectic, and I'm on Zoom calls every day. I do the sales calls, discovery calls, I'm strategizing, I'm innovating, I'm doing all of these things for the business. I look at 6 o'clock by the end of the day, and if I don't do this stuff in the morning, then it doesn't happen for me. So, it's that slow, intentional start to the day. I have Mondays and Fridays where I don't take calls. They're my days. If I feel like I just want to go and get a massage, I'll go and get a massage. If I want to go and, go shopping, I'll go shopping, or catch up with friends to have lunch, whatever. They're my days. And then weekends, I don't touch my laptop at all. I don't take calls. I don't do anything. I go to the footy. I'm an avid Swans fan.
Oh, is that right? I did not know
that. So you'll find me, screaming obscenities at the ground, at the footy during the footy season, or I'm screaming at the ground supporting my kids playing their sport. So, it's... you've got to have passions, and you've got to be one of the things that I love is that I've always just had passions for stuff, and I'm curious. I love different cultures, and I'm fascinated by being involved in a community. So if I can do that, then I'm happy.
I love that. I did not know you were a football fan. I did not know you were a Swans fan. Now I'm not into any footballs, but mind you, I am going to see a soccer match. Totally off topic. Do you know the show Welcome to Wrexham?
Oh, my God. I love that show.
Wrexham is playing in Sydney. They're playing in Sydney FC. I'm going to the game. I'm so excited. I will be you on the sideline, yelling out words and things.
I love it. Love it.
So fun.
Thank you so much
for joining me. You got to have that bit of fun and passion. Anything you want to leave us with?
No, look, I just want to say that, when you're in a community of women who are all trying to, work it out as a business, and you see these successful businesses at the top of the network and whatever, those businesses started where you are, right? And, we've always got someone that we can look up to and aspire to and wish that we were, running as successful a business. But the reality is we're where we are now. And so it's being smart where you are and doing what you need to just give yourself the space to then work out what comes next.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you for being such a valuable part of our community. I know that you're supporting a lot of our business owners to find those outsourced teams, get rid of that burden, and grow their businesses. So thank you again.
Thanks, Susie.
So there you have it. I am sure you agree. Kristy has really a phenomenal way of combining the strategic and the personal, and we do have to touch on both of those as business owners. Now, she's got frameworks, she's got systems that help her guide her decision making, but she also places so much worth on the human side of business. Now, I have seen many a time women saying, my team isn't working out for me, where what they're doing is throwing tasks at employees without also connecting on the human level. But when you have that human connection, you get so much more from your team. Like Kristy said, all her current managers were not new hires. They came from within her company. She saw them, she helped them reach their potential and grow, and now she has this incredible, very loyal team around her who also deeply know the business. And the people side of our business is one that should never be overlooked. You get to set the culture, you set the example. That is our role as the CEO. And to lead the business to success, we want to have a team that's functioning really well. Now, Kristy has prepared a great gift for you. It is her ultimate guide to hiring a virtual assistant. Now, here's the thing. Whether you have any team at all, or you don't, having a virtual assistant, someone that takes care of you, your calendar, your schedule, your time management is such an important hire. I rank it as the number one person to hire in your business. So if you have someone in that role already, good for you. If you don't, as I said, whether it's your first hire or you want to bring someone new onto the team because you're still really strung out, check out her Ultimate Guide to Hiring a Virtual Assistant. It talks to you about how to hire top-tier VAs in the Philippines and some of the mistakes to avoid, some of her insider secrets, and a whole lot more. And I'm going to put a link to that in our show notes, and I'll tell you where they are in just a moment. Now, I also mentioned that Kristy is one of our long-term members of her business, and your team, as we've discussed today, is your internal support, an essential part of growing your business. But you also need other people like you as sounding boards. That's exactly why the Her Business Network exists. It's where you can connect with other women who are on the same journey as you as a business owner. And if that's something you want more of in your life, we would love to have you join us inside the Her Business Network. And you can do that over at herbusinessnetwork.com. Just go ahead and apply. And if you feel like a good fit and we're a good fit for you, then we'll welcome you into our community. I will put a link to all of Kristy's information, including her fabulous freebie, on our show notes page, which you'll find at herbusiness.com/319. Now, if you are a regular listener of the show, you might remember a couple of episodes ago, I had my wonderful friend Valerie Koo on the show. If you didn't, don't worry, I'll give you a link to this episode because it was really good. It was about following your hunch and the power of pursuing curiosity. And we've actually had quite a few comments about that episode. And one of them came from a UK listener, Sarah Yandel from Yandel Coaching. And she said, "So true, Susie Daphnis, it's sometimes the smallest things that spark a business idea." She said, "I find my daily walks a great time to let my brain explore the opportunities out there." Sarah, I'm with you. A walk always does that for me, as does a run. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you for leaving a review. And if you enjoyed this episode, give us a shout out. Tag Kristy, tag me somewhere on Instagram, show me a photo of you listening to the episode, or simply head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating, a review. You can also direct message me over on our Instagram account, and we're at Her Business at Instagram. If you're not already following us, you definitely want to do that because we are spouting joy and all good things about business on a regular basis. So I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank Kristy again for being my guest. And if you don't already subscribe to the show, hit follow or subscribe wherever you are listening. And I'll see you next week right here on the Her Business Podcast. Bye for now.